G'day guys and welcome to the channel. This area here, when I first came to Ballarat and had a bit of an explore in the new Ballarat cemetery, I walked through this area and it was one of the first areas I actually walked through, and there's a couple of old graves just beyond me here. Very curious, had a bit of a look at them, and then I started walking through this area and I thought, oh my god, there are so many unmarked graves here. A little later I found this stone which memorialises and recognises the numerous amount of people buried in unmarked graves in this open ground area in the early years of the cemetery. So there you go. Now, I can actually feel and sense them. I've been in a paranormal field and spiritual field, doing all sorts of manner of things, got a lot of experience in all sorts of areas, and one of the things that I've always had, as a teen even, was that I could sense if there was an unmarked burial somewhere. And there's two ways, which I'm going to show you now, which you can use to, whenever you're in a cemetery or whenever you're somewhere, you can actually learn to develop how to pick up where there are unmarked graves. Alright, now the first thing I want to talk about right now is the old divining rods. Now everybody, I'm pretty sure, has seen the divining rods. Now they're pretty handy for all sorts of things. You can divine for water, you can search for water, you can search for gold, you can search for lost items, you can communicate with spirit. And just on that note there, communicating with spirit, how that actually works is they can push the rods, they can use their energy to push the rods, cross them for a yes, and pull them apart for a no. So they can actually manipulate the tips of the rods, if that's your focus, to communicate with spirit. That's how that works. But they can also manipulate your hands as well. So you might find that your hands are slightly moving while you're using the rods, and that very well could be spirit manipulating your hands, your movement. We all know that spirit can give you a bit of a poke, bit of a prod, give you a bit of a push. They can use their energy to step into your aura and manipulate, touch your hands and give your hands a bit of movement as well. So sometimes they're not actually you touching the rods, they're touching your hands to make the movements. As long as you've got your focus on trying to communicate with spirit, these things can happen and do happen. So sometimes when you're watching vids of people communicating with spirit using rods, and you're going, oh no, but I can see their hands moving, you got to think, is spirit manipulating the rods, or are they more intent on stepping into your aura a little bit and trying to give you a little bit of a poke and a push and trying to move your hands? Because that happens quite a lot, believe it or not. So before you start debunking anyone using rods and saying, oh yeah, they're just moving their hands, just have a bit of think about that. Spirit can actually step into your aura, can manipulate your movements, can manipulate your hands, can give you a bit of a poke and a prod. We all know that can happen, and we've seen that quite often on YouTube videos where somebody says, oh, I've just been pushed, just had a shove. It happens. Okay, now when you're actually looking, or when you're actually using the rods, as I was saying before, they can be used for a lot of different things. If you're putting the intent into your focus of using the rods to find water, the rods will cross when you're getting near a water source. If you're looking for electricity, an electricity source, they will cross. If you're looking for gold, if you're looking for lost items and you're getting near the item, they will cross. Same principle when you're looking for unmarked graves. If you think there's an unmarked grave in the area and you happen to have rods, pull out the rods, have a bit of a walk around and ask, where are the unmarked graves? Can you cross the rods when I'm walking near an unmarked grave? And you'll find that if you've got that focus and you've got that intent, the rods will cross. 9 times out of 10, even if there's nothing on the ground significant telling you that there's a grave there, there will be an unmarked grave. We've used it many, many times, and I've showed many people how to do this. It's worth a go with the rods. Now, I'm not actually going to do it here, but what I am actually going to do is show you a different way of trying to sense where there are unmarked graves. Firstly, you've got to have that focus. You've got to have that intent to want to find or want to know where there are unmarked graves. And I'm just going to have a bit of a wander around here, because what I'm doing now is I'm using my focus and my aura, my energy, to try and sense where there are unmarked graves. Now, as I said, I've done a lot of things in the spiritual and paranormal field over the last 50 years. So I've got a lot of experience and a lot of confidence in what I do. Partially, I'm just going to mention now that I also did, have done a lot of Reiki. And when I'm doing the healings on people, I find that my left hand is always my most sensitive and my most strongest one for doing healings. So when I'm working on a person, I'm putting the energy in with my left hand into the person to do the healing, and with this hand I'm actually pulling out the negativity, so, and sort of dispersing it with my right hand. My right hand is a shoo away one, the left hand is the energy, putting the energy in. So what I'm actually doing, and you can do this too with a bit of practice, and you will feel it. You can walk around an area. There's a little bit of noise going on here. I think they're digging a grave just a little bit further up, but that's, part of the parcel, isn't it? There's a lot of new graves around. But anyway, as I'm putting my focus on to finding an unmarked grave, I'll put my hand out and put my focus on just sensing what I'm feeling through my hands. And if I start feeling a little bit of a tingle with me, that's how it works. I start getting a little bit of a tingle. So around about this area here, I'm starting to get a fine sense of tingling. So I reckon there is a very old unmarked grave here. And we're talking about this area was established back in the 1800s, so we're talking about 1800s graves here in this particular area. I'm getting another tingling here. It's a funny sort of sensation. It's like a little bit of vibration in your hand, and if you put that focus on trying to find an unmarked grave, you'll start getting a little different sensations in your hand. Some people feel a bit of heat. Some people feel a little bit of a cold drift. I tend to get a tingle. And I get a tingle here as well. So there's another grave here. Now normally when I'm going into cemeteries, I'll have a bit of a wander around, and I'll take a couple of stones with me if I'm looking for unmarked graves, and I'll place a stone, usually it's a quartz, where I find an unmarked grave. I'm not going to do so here, basically because I know they do a lot of mowing in this area, and I don't want to put big chunks of quartz to destroy their mowers. So, and just as I walk around here, I'm feeling a little bit of tingling here as well. I'll give my hand a little bit of a shake. You do that periodically just to clear the energy a little bit. There's another unmarked grave here. It's a matter of using your senses, utilising your senses and allowing the energy to flow through to sense and pick up stuff. It's the same as divining rods. Same sort of principle as divining rods. Your hands have energy. The rods, you put energy into the rods. Your hands are supplying the energy. Your body's supplying the energy. Your aura is supplying the energy. Just in this little area here, I'm not going to wander too far from the camera. Trust your senses. Trust what you're feeling. I'm getting the tingles here, and I want to know not so much who it is, their name or anything like that. Sometimes you do get a name or whatever, but I want to know the person that's here. And what I'm actually getting is I'm getting a male, an adult male, but I'm also getting a young boy, so they're very close together or in the same grave. So I'm picking up a young boy energy. I'm trusting my senses. And the more you trust your senses and trust what you're getting, what you're feeling, trust the words and feelings that you're getting into your mind as well. So there's a man and a young boy in that area there. I'm getting pulled in this direction here because I feel there's a female somewhere around here. I'm getting a very, very strong sense around about here that there's another grave and there's a female here. Trust your senses. Trust what you're feeling in your hand. There's that tingling every time I'm walking near a grave. Sometimes I'm not even focusing on finding a grave, and I'll walk through an area and I'll just go, oh, I can sense a grave here. And then I'll put my hand out and I'll go, yep, I'm getting a tingling, I'm getting the sensations. Give that a go. Give it a go, because we've all got that ability to be able to do that. We've all got the ability to use our senses and our feelings above all else. You know, you can use electronic gear, you can use rods, you can use whatever, but we've all got that ability within us to be able to feel and sense things. You know yourself, you're watching this, you're interested in the paranormal, you know that people can feel and sense that there is a spirit around. It's the same principle. You put a focus on what you're doing or what you want. In this case, looking for unmarked graves. You've got that focus, and you ask for that different change in your hand, in the sensations, in the feelings that you're getting. Trust your feelings, trust your sensations. 9 times out of 10, you'll find that there is a grave there. And sometimes when you look at the ground, you'll see that the ground is not as even as the rest of the ground around you. And that's because when they're digging a grave, sometimes you'll get that little bit of extra bit of dirt. It's almost like the ground is raised up just that smidgen. And it's very possible there's a grave under there. So trust your senses, give that a go. While I'm in this area, I may as well just have a look at some of the older graves here. This one belongs to Nancy Isabel. She died in 1943. So she died during the war years. It's a beautiful cemetery. It's got some really, really lovely areas, and of course some of the older areas as well. A lot of people use this area, this cemetery, for picnics and walking their dogs. And here's two little angels sleeping peacefully. Curl is the name, I think. Curl. Roy, Sydney, Lily and Cecilia, Maria, Joy and Kenneth. There you go, little memorials from the same family. In memory of Clara Louise Joanna Niche, died 4th of July 1948, age 61. No name on this one. It's funny, as I walk around here too, I'm actually feeling and sensing that I'm walking over unmarked graves. I have a feeling there's probably over 100 unmarked graves in this area, as well as what we're seeing now. Over there's the open section. I can spot a couple of newer graves there as well. We won't go up into that section. Have a little bit of respect. Respect is a big thing with spirit too. You know, I've watched a lot of people go into places and they get bugger all because of their mannerisms, the way they approach the place, and the lack of respect towards people, towards spirit. You know, a lot of people in the paranormal field don't get it through their heads that spirit are us when we're dead. It's the spirit of people. If you treat people with respect, you'll get respect back, and you're more likely to get interactions. You walk in there and go, hey, I've got a cat ball, I've got a K2, go and light it up. That's demanding. Go in with the right attitude and say, well, I have this K2 here, and it's a device that allows you to communicate with us. And if you're around, we'd really love it if you'd light it up for us. Just to show you here. And this is what you get. You get spirit that come forward, realizing that you respect them, and you'll get interactions. There's a couple of older ones here. Just going to have a quick look. This one's an interesting one. Always remember spirit of people too. You treat them with respect, and they're more likely to come forward and try to communicate with you. If that's what you want. Sometimes it's just nice to have a prowl around a cemetery and just have a look and see what's around. Elizabeth Anderson, mother of a lot of kids, Thomas Vincent. Both passed away around the 50s, I'd say. And this, as I'm walking around here, I'm just naturally sensing that there are unmarked graves. I'm sensing that I'm standing on one right now, right here. I can just feel the energy. And the more and more you work with that energy thing in wanting to know where there are unmarked graves, the more you'll start sensing it, just naturally. You won't even have to try. Of course, some people have got that ability and other people don't, but it's worth a go. This one belongs to a Grace, and it's so worn, can't see any dates or much more on it. This one's a 1936. Thing to remember too when you're filming with an iPhone, if you're carrying an iPhone, carrying phones, turn them on flight mode, because they won't interfere with your electronic gear. I see a lot of YouTube vids where people are wandering around. They've got a massive camera smack bang in front of the K2 or some of the other gear or whatever, and of course everything's lighting up like a Christmas tree. And that's because of the EMF. So have everything you can on flight mode. And that way you won't get that interference. And mine's on flight mode, and I'm getting a lot of interaction here. And that's basically because I came here with respect. And I'm talking about respecting spirit. And there are a lot of spirit around the cemetery, and if they know I'm here, they'll step forward. So thank you for stepping forward. I'm not here to chat with you today. Trying to do a little bit of a vid on education. But thank you for stepping forward anyway. I might actually go back to the car and pull out the old radio. We'll go to a different section of the cemetery and we'll pull out the radio, see if we can get anything on static. Just for a bit of a laugh. But yep, this whole area here, I'm betting there's at least a good 100 odd burials. This section actually goes up a little bit of a hill, so it's a little bit of a long frontal section. But as you can see, some really nice areas in this cemetery, and you've probably seen that from a lot of our other vids as well. There's some really fantastic old sections and some beautiful new sections. Okay, so I've moved into a little area called Poets Walk. Just found a nice little quiet spot. I could probably do a little bit of a vid. And I got my old radio out that I had the other day, so we're going to see if we can pick up anything on this once again. I've got last video I went into the TV channels. I'm going to go into the VHF channels this time. We'll see if we can pick anything up. I've also got, as you can see down the bottom of the screen there, I've got a K2 meter, so if any spirit come with respect, And if you'd like to come forward, you can put your energy towards the camera or the K2. You can light up the K2 for us. It would be great. You can put your energy, you can put your voice onto the camera if you like. Or you can put your voice onto the radio, the device that I'm holding into my hand, and that would be fantastic. We'd really like that, and we respect you for doing that. It is your choice. We must always remember that it's your choice if you wish to speak to us or not. And if you wish to come forward and try to do so, we'd really appreciate it. So I've got my radio set on VHF. And if anyone's around, if you'd like to put your energy towards the aerial or the radio, put your voice onto it and tell me what your name is. I really look forward to talking to you. As I mentioned in the last video, this is experimental. I'm just setting the radio onto one frequency where there's a lot of static. And see if we can get anything come through on the static. There's a lot of little dragonflies around too. They're probably little baby ones, probably being born. This is great. You've got to love being in nature. So if anybody would like to come through, please do so. Just turn this down for a minute. There's a car just beyond a bush line here. I don't know if they're stopping to give respects to a family member's grave or not, but that's the other thing that you've got to respect as well, that there are other people around. And quite often I've had people coming up and saying, well, what are you filming? And I'll say, well, I'm interested in history, interested in people, and you know, doing a little blog on history of cemeteries and you know, the history of people that were here in the 1800s and whatever else. Sometimes you just can't tell them that you're doing the paranormal stuff because, well, they might think you're a nutter, but and then some people you come across, they think, oh, this is great, can I be a part of this, can I watch it? And you allow them to do so, you know, you give them a little bit of education. Alright, I think this car is moving on, so I'll turn the radio up again. So if anybody would like to come through, please do so. We know there's a spirit called Hamish here because he communicates with death quite a lot. And he's an Irish fella. He loves to tell limericks. Now we've actually never heard his voice on a spirit box before, so Hamish, if you're around, I'll invite you to come up and see if you can put your voice on this radio that I've got here, this device I've got here. See if you can put your voice into it. Not forgetting we do have a K2 and I can't see what it's doing, so I don't know if it's lighting up. I'm just having a bit of a wonder. There's a lot of crackling going on. A lot of clicking. I don't know if it's spirit trying to communicate or whether it's just part of the static on the radio. Who knows? I'm actually very close to a memorial or somebody that I know about, have met, and he's definitely passed over, he's crossed over, but if you are around, if you've got enough energy, could you just yell out your name for me? Getting a lot of crackling there, and there's no reason for that really. It could be just clear static. You have to remember too that in cemeteries most people who are buried here have crossed over. There's only a small amount who don't cross over for some reason or another. Generally it's because there's a little bit of baggage there. They worry about the family, got other sort of worries, other things they want to take care of, or hope to have take care of before they actually do cross over. Some don't know how to cross over, and that's where we come in and we can help them to cross over. But this part of the cemetery has always had a reasonably good feeling. There has been one time where, or a couple of times where there has been a negative energy, but it's been from outside the cemetery and it's come in. I'm just watching that car. It's slowly driving past. Probably wondering what I'm doing. I don't really care. They could take a picture and it might last longer. I think they're gone. Actually, oh, okay. I see what's going on. A little bit further down the cemetery, there's obviously a burial taking place, because there's a lot of cars just forming down one of the roadways. The cemetery here has a lot of different roadways. It's a huge cemetery, and there's a lot of people moving about down the bottom end there. I believe that somebody's about to be buried, and quite often, you know, people have a service in a little chapel or whatever, and you know that suffices, and then they leave it at that. But then there's, you know, then there's a contingent of people who actually like to have the service at the person's gravesite as the grave, or as the casket is being lowered. And I know at my sister's funeral, what happened there is they did have a little sort of thing in a chapel that belonged to, it was close to the cemetery or whatever, and then they moved the casket to the cemetery, and quite a lot of us went to the cemetery and we watched the casket being lowered down into the grave. And actually at that time I was asked to play a little bit of guitar as my sister was lowered into the grave. So I actually played Stairway to Heaven, and everybody joined in a bit of a sing-song as she was being lowered into the grave. So there you go, a little bit of my history there. Okay, I think this car's gone again. We'll give this another quick shot. Anyone likes to come through? Okay, thank you for trying if you did. I'm going to switch it off. As I was saying in the last video, this is all experimental. but it's worth giving it a go. And I think the longer you stay in an area, the more likely you're going to pick something up. I'm just going to pop this down. Now, just noticing, I don't know what the K2's been doing. I'm just noticing it flickering now. And look, I'm not going to say that it's spirit because I've got the headset on again. So the headset might be affecting it. There's a lot of flickering going on, even at that side of the bench. Okay, I'm going to call it that it's a headset that is actually causing the interference. Alright, so we might discard that K2 activity because I really do feel that it's interference from the headset. And that's what I was saying to you a little bit earlier. It's like you've got to be careful with your electronic gear. Sometimes electronic gear can set off other electronic gear. And that's, I think, exactly what's happening here. I don't know if you can hear that, but in the distance there's a piper playing. And that's pretty rare. So I'd say as a Scots person that's being buried. But that is really, really cool. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up because it is quite a distance. That is absolutely awesome, hearing of bagpipes playing in a cemetery. I just had a bit of a peek to see who's around because I might actually try and arc up the S-box. We'll see how we go with that. Just have a quick flick through it. I'm actually just really enjoying listening to the piper. Still going. Alright, I'm going to do a little S-box, so I'm going to invite any spirit. You know what, I'm going to call them people. I'm going to invite any person that wants to come forward. Please do so, and see if you can put your voice on this device that I'm holding. Come with a lot of respect, a lot of love. Love this area, it's a beautiful area. Anybody like to say hello and tell me your name? My name's Rick. Hello. It's not you, Hamish, is it? Yeah. Oh, hi Hamish, how are you? Did you find this one a little bit easier to talk through? Is there anything you'd like to say? Can you call out your name for us? It's quite a bit of low voices there, which I can't quite make out. Did you hear the piper play? Did you hear the bagpipes before? What do you think of them? Good. I heard good. Was it nice to hear bagpipes? Are you Scottish yourself? Are you Irish? Satellite. What's a satellite? Ah, okay. English. Are you English? Yeah, okay. So you're English. I can. You can? What can you? Can you tell me what you can? Can you tell me where you come from? What country? Oh, I didn't quite hear that. What country did you come from? Or were you born in Australia? Piper's still playing. How friggin' awesome is that? Geez, I would love to have a piper playing at the side of my grave, although I don't intend to be buried. But that is really awesome. Okay, is there any spirit out there that can hear the piper? What do you think? What do you think of the piper? Do you reckon it's awesome? Reckon it's pretty cool? Heard a voice there, I'm not sure whether it was English or Scottish, but it was something. Okay, I'm just going to have to turn this off because I'm really mesmerised by this piper. So I think I'm going to call this a vid for the time being, because I'm just going to sit here very quietly and have a listen to this piper, because and send some respect to the person who's being buried, and to the family. As I always do when I'm walking around a cemetery, to everybody that's buried here in the cemetery, I always give respect, give a little bit of love, and especially to all the new interns to the cemetery, always give a little bit of love and respect. I'm not quite sure if the piper's finished. He certainly stopped playing, but yeah, there you go. Alright, we'll give this one more quick whirl. So once again, if there's any spirit around, I would like to say hello. Please do so. You can call out your name to me.
S-Box. Danny. S-M. Danny. A-M.
Okay, I actually like the AM band, even though it's a little bit noisier. So anyone here would like to call out their name for me? Francis. Hi Francis, how you going? Were you born in Australia or somewhere else? Something about joints. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Did you live in the area long? Newcastle. Sounded like Newcastle. Did you come from Newcastle? Was that Newcastle, Australia or Newcastle, England? Silly ass. I'm not sure whether she said silly ass or something about ice. Or it could have been silly as, I'm not sure. Alright, anybody who'd like to say hello? Are you around because of the funeral here today? Thanks for speaking to me. Okay, I'm not too sure. There's a lot of underlying low voices there, which are very hard to pick up. But as I said, sometimes when you're out in the field, sometimes you get a lot, sometimes you get nothing. And it doesn't matter if you get nothing, you just show it. Show that you get nothing because you're showing you are real and you're not bullshitting around. And that's a big thing in this field. There's a lot of people that just show what they get or show what they fake. I'm not going to hold back on that because there are a lot of fakers out there and they do it for public views and they do it because they're monetized, and the more views they get, the more money they get. We're not about money, we don't care about money, we'll show you what we get. If we get nothing, we get nothing. If we get something, great. Some days you get lucky, other days you don't. But the big thing is, as long as you have respect for spirit, understand that they are people too, have respect like you would another human being, you should get more interactions. Some days, some nights are relatively quiet, other times we can come here or anywhere else or whatever and you'll get a lot of activity, and then other days you'll get not much at all. That's just the way it goes. Alright, I hope you've enjoyed the vid. Stay true guys, and wish you lots of health and respect, and yeah, cheers, catch you later on.